Hello, my name is Laurence McNally with Ladybird Ever After. We help American couples get married in Ireland. And given that you clicked on this video, you probably are thinking of getting married in Ireland. So you can do that either legally or symbolically. At the end of this video, you'll be an expert in legally getting married in Ireland. So you'll have the tools to understand what that entails and how to do it yourself. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us and we can help and guide you. So let's follow along. Firstly, I wanted to call out, where is Ireland? It's on the west coast of Europe, and on the island of Ireland, there are two countries, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. In this video, we are just covering the legalities of the Republic of Ireland. In another video, we will go over the legalities of getting married in Northern Ireland. On this map, you can see all the other pins and shamrocks. They are places to eat and things to do in Ireland. There's a lot more of them on the Ladybird roadmap if you are a Ladybird couple. But even if you're not, you will get so much value out of this video on how to legally get married here. So the first part of the journey is getting the right information. And at Ladybird, we always reference the government websites. But to ensure you're seeing the source of truth, you can Google HSE wedding website or HSE website marriage to ensure that you get onto the Irish government website. And within this, you will get the most up-to-date and correct information. When going into this website, you can see that there's 4 different options here that go into more details. We will start at the how-to page. Within the how-to page, the first thing that should jump out at you is the marriage registration form and the deadline, 3 months beforehand. If you're watching this video and there's only 2 months to your wedding, unfortunately, you cannot legally get married in Ireland. But if you have 12 months or 8 months, you definitely can legally get married. And that's the second step in the process, is ensuring that you have enough time before your wedding to give the notice to the Irish government to get legally married in Ireland. The next step is to book a notification appointment. And you can do this over the phone, or you can use the system here to book an appointment. And this appointment, you will see online that people say you have to do it in person. But that's only if you're residing in the country. If you're filing an absentee and you don't live there, you can do it via registered post. And that's super important because you don't have to fly over 3 months before your wedding day to do the registration or to do the appointment and then fly back to the States and then fly over again for your wedding day. But what's really important, in order to do this, you must know your venue and your celebrant. So you have to have some pieces of information before filing this notification. So the first part was knowing that you have enough time. And then the next part is finding your celebrant and your venue and then booking your appointment. So next up, we're going to look at how to find your celebrant. So to find a solemnizer or a celebrant that can legally bind your marriage, you go down here to Who Can Marry You and click on the registered list of a solemnizer. Within this list, there are 2 files. There is a PDF version and there is an Excel version. Both are very useful, but you can see that they were updated in June. So the government keeps these up to date every month. The Excel is super helpful when it comes to finding a celebrant in the county where you want to have your wedding. So we're going to jump into the PDF version here and walk through the different types of celebrants. So jumping into the active solemnizer list, you can see that this was updated on the 31st of May 2026. So it's very much in date, and that's updated, I think, every month. So there's a solemnizer type and there's a nominating body. And I want to call this to your attention because this list is huge. There's 383 pages, but there's only 3 different types. There's a civil type, there's a religious type, and there's a secular type. And then within each of them, there are multiple nominating bodies. And we'll get to the nominating body in a second, but the solemnizer type shares some commonalities that we can discuss. The civil, that means you are married very much like a courthouse in the US. You're married in a registration office, and that's done Monday to Friday within business hours. you're not really putting in hand fasting or any Celtic elements or your love story. That is getting legally married. And a lot of our couples, in fact, none of our couples have ever done that. The next type is religious. And within religious, there's multiple different groups. So there's the very organized religions, which we're very familiar with, like the Roman Catholic Church and the Church of England, and so many other nominating bodies or religions that are in this list. And I use the word nominating bodies because you can start seeing what the nominating body is. It's the body that puts forward the person to be able to solemnize the marriage within that type. So you can see in this case, Thomas here is a part of the Roman Catholic Church, and he was put forward in 2019 to solemnize weddings. So the next part of the religious solemnizer type is the celebrant organizations, and these are type religious, but they celebrate usually no faiths or all faiths. So you can mention God, or if you're from different religious backgrounds, you can celebrate all walks of life within these ministries. And a lot of them are non-profits and they have different core beliefs, and we can guide you through them. But to ensure that you have a celebrant that reflects your love story, a lot of them fall within this religious realm here, and they do hand fasting, and they do different things like the quake and the protection circle. Anything that really speaks to your wedding and your beliefs fall into some of these religious celebrant bodies down here, but they're still type religious. And then we go down a little further on the list to the last type, which is secular. So it's just at the bottom of the page here. So secular has the nominating body called Humanist Association of Ireland. Secular believes in no talk of God in their ceremonies. And if that speaks to your love story and you want really a pagan traditional wedding, you can use a secular celebrant and we can book that on your behalf and go through the Humanist Society. And then a special shout out to Dara Malloy, who is a secular celebrant but has his own nominating body, which is pretty cool. So Dara has not gone with the Humanist Association, but has his own beliefs and his own very unique celebrant. And we work with him a lot at Ladybird, but he has his own nominating body, which he is a minister there, and he's nominated by Aisling Aaron, which is very cool. So now you know all of the solemnizers in Ireland. The next thing is which one is right for you. We have a lot of couples that ask for religious ceremonies through the Catholic Church and how to do that. You start with your own diocese. Go to your priest or your deacon and ask them the process. But you need to know where you're getting married. You can't just tell them Ireland. You have to know the specific location so that they can get a priest in that parish and that diocese to be assigned to your wedding. But you'll have to go through the pre-Cana course, and there's a lot of information about that the Catholic Church has published and your deacon or priest will be familiar with. But that's the process. Don't just call the priests on these numbers and ask them to marry you. You have to go through the means of their organization, which is through your local parish. If you're leaning towards a more modern celebration, you might be thinking of working with someone like Entheos or Our Spiritual Earth or Future Faith Ministries. These celebrant bodies are willing to travel throughout Ireland. Some of them have travel fees, some of them cover all of the country, but it's important to reach out to each of them and understand if they resonate with you. And a nice thing you could do is find celebrants that are in your county where you're planning to get married. So if you're thinking of the Cliffs of Moher, you would be looking for celebrants in County Clare or Galway or Limerick that is nearby to ensure they won't have a travel fee. Plus, if they're nearby, they've worked that area before more than likely, and they have great knowledge of the area. A nice thing about working with Ladybird is that we have a huge knowledge base of celebrants that we've worked with in the past and can really match you up with someone that suits the vision of your day. But that's the best way to find these celebrants. And it's the same with the secular ones as well. You reach out via their Instagram or their website, and you can go to the Humanist Association of Ireland and filter by their county or their areas covered. And that's how you get in contact, and you will pay these people directly. So that's the list of solemnizers. So if they're not on that list, they can't legally marry you in Ireland. And we've had in the past different pastors fly over from churches in the US and then get put onto that list for one day and they can legally sign you. So if your father-in-law is a minister or a pastor in a church and an organized religion, they can get on that list for one day, and that has happened in the past. The next thing that you'd want to look into is a venue for your civil marriage ceremony. And Ladybird can help with this, but just if you were ever doing it on your own, selecting a venue, there's a few criteria that you must meet. So the first is the building has to be open to the public. So it can't be a private Airbnb or a private house. It has to be something that is open to the public. Second is a courtyard, garden, field, or piece of ground that is open to the public and is near and usually shared with the building. So this would be like the outdoor courtyard of a hotel. The next things that the venue must also have is it has to be identifiable by description and location. So usually this would be an Eircode, which is a unique identifier. I think it's 7 digits, it's alphanumeric, and it is a unique identifier for a building in Ireland. So every building has its own Eircode. It's actually really good for directions if you're there and you just type into the Eircode into Google Maps, it will bring you directly there. And then it allows unrestricted access without charge. So you can't be charged into this venue. And it meets planning permission, fire safety, and health and safety requirements. If you do book with Ladybird, we always check that, but any major hotel is already sorted that way for you. It has public liability insurance, be accessible to all, and have no recent or current connection with any religious practices or persuasion. So you can't do a civil ceremony at a church. So this is like if you want to get married at a church and you don't want to do a Catholic wedding and you want to have your wedding there, you couldn't do that. The next thing up is your in-person appointment. And this is an appointment that you and your spouse or future spouse will go to in the registry office to pick up your MRF, your marriage registration form. So this cannot be done in absentee. You have to go, you have to bring the physical documents, the original documents of perhaps your birth certificate, your passport, proof of address, and some other things that they ask for. We're not responsible for telling you that list. The HSE will give you that list when you're in contact with them of what you need to bring to prove your marriage. So that's something you do in person 5 days beforehand. You want to give yourself at least 6 days in case your flight gets delayed or something like that. And then you pick up the green folder. You'll hear people talk about the green folder, but the documents is given to you in a green folder, and then you sign that on your wedding day. Then we get to your wedding day, and it's at the venue that is legal, and you can bind your marriage with that solemnizer who can solemnize and legally bind you. And then you have your paperwork that's witnessed by 2 witnesses that are over the age of 18. So they would witness it, usually your photographer and videographer if they're there, or if you have some guests. Usually the moms come up and witness it, or you have a best man and a maid of honor, they witness it and sign it. And then you go and put that paperwork back in person to the same office you picked it up from. So a nice route here is that you book your appointment in Dublin when you fly in. Usually you get in off an overnight flight and you have the appointment that day or the next day in Dublin. And then you go off on your journey down the west coast of Ireland or up to Northern Ireland and around the western side or the southern side, and then have your wedding. And then after your wedding, when you have that MRF document, you bring it back to the place where you had your appointment and submit it. Once it's submitted, then you're legally bound and married in Ireland, and then you'll get that marriage certificate, and from there you can bring that to the US. So I hope you learned a few things here and you feel a lot more comfortable and confident in doing a legal marriage in Ireland. If not, you can always do a legal marriage in your own county courthouse and then symbolically get married in Ireland. A lot easier without all the paperwork, but it's also possible to do the legal process. If you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me or anyone on the Ladybird team and we can guide you through this. But hopefully this helped.